This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, Anne-Marie Waters on Islam Kills Women. Our guest this evening, Anne-Marie Waters, coming to us from the UK. She is the director of Sharia Watch UK, and she's the deputy leader of Pakita UK. Anne-Marie Waters, an honor and a privilege to have you on the Glazov Gang.
Thank you very much, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Well, why don't we just begin with just in general, you speak about Islam and its impact on free speech and women's rights in Europe and around the world. Let's just begin with what you're doing.
All right. Well, I run a small organization called Sharia Watch UK. And one of the things that I wanted to do with it was have a little look, really, in two areas of life in Britain that Islam is affecting. And one of the first things I did was produce a report on the so-called moderate groups that we have in Britain, groups like the Muslim Council of Britain and the Muslim Association of Britain. And I just wanted to shine a little light on who these men really are. But a bulk of them are Sharia supporters. Many of them we have on hidden camera, for example, when they don't know they're being watched, calling for jihad against Britain. And then being called by the BBC to present a moderate public face. So I wanted to expose a little bit of that. I also tried to organise a Muhammad cartoon contest to show what happens in the UK when one tries to organise a Muhammad cartoon exhibition. It didn't happen. It was essentially, we couldn't find a gallery to do it, first of all, and secondly, it would have completely wrecked my life. I probably would have had to go on the run. But I wanted to show British people exactly where we are with this stuff. I also looked into grooming gangs. I tried to find out how many girls had been raped by Muslim grooming gangs. Again, impossible for a member of the public to find out because we meet brick walls. And this is the kind of thing that I just want to have a look at and to sort of shine a light on these areas of British life that are being affected by Islam in this country.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Look, as a person is listening to everything you just said, it sounds like a very noble humanitarian individual looking into issues where women and young girls are being abused, where free speech is being suppressed. You would think that a nation, its people, its media, its leadership would be on your side. But there is a great resistance, and there is, I would say, a slander machine working against you. How do you explain this?
It's really difficult, and it's not just a resistance to what we're saying. We're actively demonized. Our politicians over the years, David Cameron, Tony Blair, have referred to people like myself as far right. David Cameron, for example, said that Tommy Robinson was terrible. We are people who are opposing misogyny, opposing anti-Semitism, actively trying to highlight the dangers to human rights, to civil rights, that will occur as Muslim immigration to Europe continues and grows. And we know this because it's what's already happening. We can see what has happened in Germany in the last year alone, where over 1 million Muslims arrived. The impact on women, for example, in Germany has been shocking. Rape rates have exploded. Women are being told to stay home in order to stay safe or to cover up. Girls in schools told not to wear shorts. This is an incredible danger to the freedoms of women in Germany, and it happened overnight because of this immigration. And to highlight this stuff is an act of love, not an act of hate. I do this out of concern for people's rights. But our entire political discourse is so distorted now that those of us who speak up for genuine civil rights are now deemed hateful. And I think a huge part of the problem, of course, is the open border, multicultural, left-wing which so dominates public life in Britain and across Europe. It dominates the media, and because it dominates the media, the politicians pay a ridiculous amount of attention to it and believe that the media, the left-wing dominated media, represents public opinion, and it doesn't. And that's the first thing that politicians need to learn. But our media, our education system, our universities dominated by not just moderate left-wing thought, but far left-wing thought, and it's shutting down opposition and demonizing anyone who doesn't agree with them.
Anne-Marie, let me get to this issue here. We see so many tragic, catastrophic, bizarre phenomena all around us in terms of what's happening in Europe with these sexual assaults on the women now by the Muslim migrants. We actually see the many, I would argue, emasculated males that are not defending these women. And what this is the left's achievement in many ways. It wanted to emasculate the male, and it demonizes the males that may jump in to defend these women that are being attacked. What do you make of this?
Well, people are afraid to defend themselves. We've basically got a situation where a man is more likely to be attacked by leftist feminists if he does stand up for women than if he doesn't. I mean, we've seen it in Sweden as well. When these men wanted to hand out leaflets, just simply handing out leaflets, warning women about rape. The radical leftist feminists came back with, we'd rather be raped than be protected by you. This demonization of men on the whole, of European men, continues. And we saw it again after Cologne. The radical left-wing feminists coming back saying all men are the same, and this is because of men that this happened. Well, it's odd because it didn't happen before migrant Muslim men arrived. German men did not gather in groups of 1,000 and go out and commit mass sexual assaults on German women. But they simply will not. The left simply will not admit that this is a problem with Muslim migrants. They would rather demonize and attack their own men as usual. And this is the impact. Men simply won't stand up and defend their countries. People in general are too afraid to defend their countries. This is the impact that it has had, this constant attack on European people and on European men in particular.
Anne-Marie, let me ask this. Let's turn to the personal for a moment. A lot of apathy in the world, indifference in the world. We see, that many people simply do not care. What influenced Anne-Marie Waters to become a human rights activist and to begin your battle for justice and for freedom?
Okay, it's a difficult question to answer, to be honest with you. It's difficult to understand what drives you. I do know that in my personal life, it began when I was a student and I met a Muslim woman who I became friends with, and I saw that she was treated appallingly by her family, as was her sister. She told me that her sister was on the run for leaving a violent marriage. Told me very matter-of-factly that if her brothers were to catch up with her sister, that they would kill her. And I'd never been exposed to any such thinking as that before. I'd been completely naive. And I didn't realize, I was shocked to discover that in the United Kingdom in the 21st century, women were going on the run for fear of being killed by their brothers because they left a violent marriage. And it was that sparked my interest and started me looking into this particular area. And I saw that we have Sharia courts in Britain. We have tens of thousands of girls undergoing medieval FGM. We have child marriage. We have Muslims gang raping young English girls, and nothing is done about any of it. And I simply find it unbearable. I also find it unbearable that freedom of speech, which is our most important freedom, has been so undermined in Britain, such that it has effectively disappeared. Our media is bowing down to Islam. It won't tell the truth about the horrors committed in the name of Islam in our country. And what can I say? I simply can't bear it. I have to speak out about it. I have to. The injustice of it causes me to speak out.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. And again, just to reiterate this vital point, we have a human rights activist whose activism was launched because of her heartfelt concern for a persecuted and oppressed Muslim girl. And yet through everything that you're doing and in everything that you're doing, the people who don't care and who don't do anything and are actually trying to stop you are the ones that saying that you're Islamophobic and that you're the ones who supposedly hates Muslim people, when your efforts and who you are is actually on behalf of many Muslim people.
Well, you know, I would say that if you do nothing, if you're willing to stand by and watch while people are effectively tortured, you know, FGM is a form of torture in your own country, and say nothing and do nothing about it, I would suggest you are the one that is filled with hatred, quite frankly. If you have no concern for this kind of appalling suffering, you're the one with the problem, and not me. And you know, to call me a racist because I want young Somali girls, for example, to have the same protections as young white girls is perverse. It is, the actual racism is not caring about the Somali girl. Whereas if it was happening to a white girl, you can bet these feminist organizations would be up in arms. But because it's happening to Somali girls, they don't seem to care. And yet they call those of us who do care racist. It's absolutely perverse.
Well, I agree 100%, but wait a minute. They would not be up in arms if the perpetrators are doing it because of Sharia. They would be up in arms if it was done, let's say, by another group. Like, let's say if it was, white fascists or somebody that might be doing this, then they would care. But if it's done by people motivated by Islamic law or Islamic theology, they don't care.
Or actually, perhaps I should rephrase it. If it was being done by white men, then they would be up in arms. It would be a national issue. We would never stop hearing about it if it was white men doing it. But they let non-white men have a free pass and treat people however they please. And yet they call other people racists. It's absurd.
Anne-Marie, thank you so much. Very briefly, with our minute left, your final thoughts?
Yeah, we've got to stand up now and realize that there are a lot of problems coming our way with this mass Muslim migration. We had 1 million in Germany last year, over 1 million in Germany last year. There are no signs that this number is going to go down. Merkel may be making some sounds, but I believe they're only sounds. The borders will stay open. Millions more people will come. It is a matter of urgency now. On many issues, many people will suffer. Free thinkers, Jews, but specifically I want women, European women, to wake up and realize what will happen to them if this flood of male Muslim migration continues, and it will. It's a matter of urgency. We will lose our freedom, we will lose our safety, and it's time to stand up right now and say we're not having it. And I call on European women to join me.
And the European women that are inspired at this moment and want to do something, where do they find you?
ShariaWatch.org.uk is my organisation's website. My own website is annemariewaters.org, and there are contact details in there. And I would urge women to, and men who are concerned about this also, of course, to get in touch with me.
Anne-Marie Waters, what an honor and a privilege it is to speak to somebody fighting on behalf of freedom, fighting on behalf of persecuted people, and facing so much slander and demonization in the face of this battle. I wish you all the best with Sharia Watch UK and with Paquita UK. You take care, and we wish you the best of luck, okay?
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching the Glazov Gang. Please remember, this is a fan-generated program. Go to jamieglazov.com to support the show. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Glazov Gang. Good night.
This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.